Historical Commission, and we are in the Old Fisk Museum, which is the former library. Going back to the history of the building, we have a dedication plaque over here as to how the library was built. Getting into the more recent history of it, the building was vacated in the 90s with the addition of a new library being built on Randall Road. In the interim, the building sat vacant. We were under peril. The state corrections court system wanted to take this building over and use it as a juvenile center. So there was some lobbying going on from them. Meanwhile, the fire department needed a building to use it as temporary office space, which they did for about 3 years. So the building was occupied by a town fire department, and what's next to the building? So being in jeopardy, we had an article before town meeting asking the town to turn the building over to the Historical Commission for its use as a museum. So you go through the town meeting process, you go to the floor, it gets debated, voted on, and the actual amendment ended up being a split vote. Cultural Council, which was arts and humanities at that point in time, they needed a place. So in the town's wisdom, they said, well, fine, you can share the building, with the commission kind of being the overseers for its maintenance, for its upkeep, and general use, okay? So as it goes, we have one gallery, which we're going to be going into shortly, that Cultural Council uses for their events. They're great partners with us. They've helped us out a lot. We try to help them out, and it's a relationship I'm sure that's going to grow in the future. This is our donation table. These relics here were from the Eagle Dam site. They were donated to us from actually when they redid the high school. They were in the media room, and they did the whole media room over, and a call came to us and they said, hey, we're doing the interior of the building over. Would you guys be interested in some stuff? So yes, this is an authentic Arrowhead Indian collection, all in Eagle Dam and Wrentham. It's down on Franklin Street beyond the high school, okay? This is a lifelong collection donated to us. We have a replica map that we've had done digitally scanned and available for a donation, along with a few other things. Some things are free, some things are a donation. So moving on to greater things, we're coming into the commission's exhibition area. This is how we have it set up presently. We plan on changing as the days go on for whatever the event, for Veterans Day and other certain events. We try to keep our displays rotating. We've been out of the loop for 19 months with COVID. So this is the last display, the last static display that was set up. Everything over here on this area, in this cabinet, railroad, this was an old railroad sign. We have Weber Duck, one side of that, and we also have some Purple Hearts, and we have one Purple Heart over here in another case. So this is our military collection to speak of. The rest are pictures of the town. One of these fireplaces I do not think work, but they're display areas. Some of the things that are on here, everything here has been donated. And we're always looking for Wrentham related donations. If anybody is interested in that, we'd be more than happy to entertain that. We have a postcard collection, pretty extensive. We have probably a couple of hundred cards. We're working on cataloging some more things. These books are copies, pictures of everything that was in Arcadia Press. This is Earl Stewart and Gordon Woodhams. They were the authors, and through their generosity, any of the profits that were made off of this book have been donated to the commission. So we greatly appreciate that. I was under the impression that the book is not available anymore. Earl Stewart's son came in and said Arcadia Press still has some copies from them, but we're thinking of getting it reprinted. So we'll let everybody know how that's going to work out. And we may put an addendum page in there to update some of the history in it. That also goes for one of our other favorite publications, and this is a guide to Wrentham historic houses. This is long out of print. This book originally was donated funding-wise from the Sweat Committee many years ago, back, late 80s, early 90s. We did the research on it, commission members did, and sent it to the printer, and everybody that was a homeowner resident got this book for free. So we have 1 or 2, maybe 5 copies left. Small donation, it's yours. We're thinking of getting these reprinted. So hopefully we're rebooting our commission, and once we get our shoes back on the ground again, there should be some more information on that. We have a Facebook page. We're trying to communicate with people a little better. There's a commission site on website on the town's website. Our posters, World War I, World War II. We have an extensive collection of these. We don't have all of them out. These are done in an archival storage system so they don't deteriorate with the light and everything. But some of these are really, the artwork is phenomenal on them. So this is the one I think that's probably the most graphic, that really hits home with me as far as the war years go. But again, that's my own personal opinion. But there's a lot of really good stuff in here. Some of the other pages here. This is menu from the Peony House, from the farm, the duck farm. So, and then there's the captain's table. A couple of the other restaurants in town. Anybody that has some time that wants to come in, hopefully we're going to be opening on Sundays, the first Sunday of the month from 1 to 4. And we just got permission to open this building for this event. This is the first public opening that we've had since COVID. So COVID's still in effect, and we're hoping that we'll be able to remain open. So moving right else, let's see, what else can we look at? The rest of them are artifacts here. These are chairs that were made in Sheldonville. This, and this. Rod Sheldon, chairmaker, longtime resident of Sheldonville, boat maker. A lot of history involved in that. So we have lots of things on that. These are some of the hat-related hats that we have. Wrentham was a great hat manufacturing town. A lot of home industry. People did braiding for the straw and brought them up to be assembled at, there was a hat factory up the center of town. So they were made there. Foxborough also had the same type of industry, but it was relatively easy and inexpensive to do. We also have a plane collection. These are Caesar Cella. He was the first black plane maker in the country, very sought after. And these are 3 examples that came out of the Wrentham shop. He ended up working for Francis Nicholson. And when Nicholson, he was a free slave, I believe. You have to check on the whole history of it, but these are attributed to him. And if anybody that plane collectors know anything about planes, this is kind of the Magna Carta of plane manufacturing. So we're lucky in that respect. We have a lot of artifacts that aren't able to be put out and displayed. We're working on a system to try to do CPA funding, and I'm going to introduce you to one of our members who's handling that through CPA, which is funding that the state gives for projects throughout town for different organizations for recreation and that. So we are in the process of getting some paintings restored, and also we're trying to get the services of an archivist to come in and archive our collections, which we have a lot of. So it's going to be a long, ongoing project. So let's go over to our other gallery and we'll take a look next door. We're in the Cultural Commission gallery. This is the other half of the building that we're sharing. They're twin galleries, exactly laid out the same proportions, the same fireplace thing, but theirs is a different use. The Cultural Council, they work with artists in town and to display their works. Some of these are Cultural Council, these are artists related here. These paintings on easels that are works that people have done through the Cultural Council. And this is our latest acquisition. It came in about 2 weeks ago. Our chairman was contacted by the family. Miner. The guy's name was Ammon Kenneth A. Miner, and he lived at 1100 West Street. And during the Korean War, he was in the Air Force, and the plane ended up crashing. He died in service. His family asked that if we would like the collection of all his memories and his flag and his medals and decorations, if we would like them. And we said, yes, absolutely. So I'm happy to be able to put them out for the people of Wrentham to see. This is their first showing. Hopefully there'll be a permanent display, or at least a portion of it as a permanent display in the years to come. So we have his flag, we have the medals that he received, letters of commendation from the military, graduation diploma, I believe it's his Bible, New Testament. So that was part of his personal wartime collection and stuff. So we have some letters of correspondence that we didn't put out today, but it's a really great collection, and we really appreciate the family for donating it to us and getting it to here. Now, anybody that has a Wrentham-related article or picture or something that they would like to be put into perpetuity, we cannot sell. We store these in our collections, and hopefully anybody that makes other donations, we can get them out through different open days that we have. This mural that's in this room here is done by a local artist, 1938, James Goss Cowell. But the WPA hired him in 1937-38 to do projects in town, which brings us to our wall art here. These paintings, all these two here, there's three here, there's one missing there, and we have two more. We've had four restored, which was our money's being spent from CPA for our first application. So we have two more paintings that are ready to be brought back, or Treffler is the name of the art company that's doing the restoration work on them. So it's slow, it's painstaking, but these hung in the Roderick School gymnasium walls, okay? So they did the school over and they said, I think you guys might be interested in some paintings. And these are Cowell paintings. These are all done by him. So we said, absolutely. So, you know, they had peanut butter stains on them and chewing gum. And the kids didn't smoke, thank God. But they were in the building protected, but they were in, you know, daily use through classes going through there all the time. So we removed them. We did a survey on them, and we're in the process of getting them all professionally restored and they're going to be on display in here once everything is all done. So these are just local houses around here. This house in particular, I know firsthand about that because that's where I live. And that's on Franklin Street. And the rest of them are scattered throughout town. So that's another one of our projects that we're getting geared up to finish. We've started, we're off to a good start, and hopefully we'll be able to complete that in the next, say, year or so or two. We used our initial funding. We're going to have to get some more, hopefully, to finish off what we have. And we have a request going for a professional archivist for this round coming up in the November town meeting. So we hope we can have your support for that. It's a good project, and we have to preserve and at least identify documents and things that we have here. So we want to get them digitally copied and entered into a database, which we've already started for our collection. This is the Commission's official meeting room. This is where all the details are tried to work out. And we meet here once a month, the third Tuesday of every month at 7 o'clock. It's an open meeting. If you want to request a special agenda, we can put you on our agenda. If you want to just come in and observe and meet the rest of our members, you're more than welcome to. So we are back meeting in person. Thanks to Kim here, we were able to Zoom meetings.
Thanks, Leo. So with the Historical Commission, we've been really busy presenting projects to the Community Preservation Committee, and two of the projects we've been working on. One is the continued restoration of the cowl paintings. That's been something we've been doing for a few years now. And secondly, we have been working on hiring an archivist. We made a presentation, and if the Community Preservation Committee passes it, then it'll go to town meeting for a vote, and it would be really great if people could come out and be supportive of that vote. What an archivist would do would be to, if you've looked around, looks like we have a lot going on, a lot of boxes, and it'd be really great if someone could come in and catalog, organize, digitize all of our photographs and documents, and really just make everything more accessible to the public. We have Wrentham's 350th anniversary coming up.
Oh yeah, right.
So it would be fantastic to have that information more accessible, easy for people to come and request, and we can provide that information, because I know lots of festivities are going to be planned around that anniversary. So it would just be great for people to be able to access all of the information and learn about the history. Even if they can't get to the museum, we could put it online, and it would just be really fantastic for people to see all the amazing photographs throughout Wrentham's history, all the really cool documents dating back to colonial times, and it would just be, I think, a real benefit to Wrentham to have someone come in and whip this place into shape.
It's an ongoing project down on the Common, and retro back 25 years ago, there was a watering trough, and there was a piece missing to the top of the trough. I moved here in '73, it was there, and then shortly after that, for some reason, it disappeared. And I was not a member of the commission then, I was on the Historical Society, but it was a town thing. So it's like, what happened to it? Nobody knows. Well, fast forward 20 years later, Earl Stewart, who was the chairman of the commission at that point in time, came up to my house all excited. He says, go up to the town yard and go in the DPW garage in the back wall, and there's a scrap pile. I said, oh no. He says, yeah. He says, I found the top to the trough. It had been hit, evidently, and it was removed and just stored away up there. So they were doing a cleaning job. He was afraid it was going to get thrown out. So that was the beginning of the project. I took the pieces home. I'm a machinist repairman, like, by trade, so it was no stranger to gas brazing and welding and all that. So it was a good project, cleaning it, rebrazing it, putting the pieces back together the way they were, and then we took it upon the commission to reassemble it. We had the top replicated from a photo for an old, well, it was illuminated during the evenings with a oil lamp, kerosene top. So we had it converted to a electrical light and new stamp lighting, which is no longer in business, made us an exact replica from a scale drawing that we did from the commission. So we get it all up there and put it all together, and everything looks really good. Well, let's see, maybe 4 years ago, somebody drove through town and forgot to turn the steering wheel and ended up driving right through it, knocking it over into the war memorial, knocking that over and taking half of the shrubs out. So it's laying on the ground in pieces. So scratch all over, start. Worked with the town on it. They were very cooperative. They came in and they said, we have a company that remediates insurance damages for the town. So I ended up working with that company that came in here that did it. They were excellent. They did a magnificent job. They took the fountain. We had already sandblasted it and painted it back 20 years ago, but they said, no, let's powder coat it. Off to the powder coater it went, back to the foundry. They came back, they reassembled the top. The top, copper top that was destroyed, new stamp, was still in business. They made a duplicate and they re-erected it. So here we are today on September 11th, and if you go down to the common and you look, it's missing. Where did the top go? Well, the story goes like this. The town of Sharon has a duplicate trough. They have no top. They have the base and the bowl, but no top. So they removed the top, the same company that did the restoration installation on it, and there is a new top in process of being cast. They're making a mold of the top from our top so that they can install it on their fountain. And you'll see some pictures of that later on Cable's presentation. So with that, I think we'll move on and see if we can locate one of our other members.
Hello, I'm Greg Stahl. I'm the chairman of the Historical Commission. I've got some interesting stories to tell about how we got some of this stuff. Okay, this right here is the Red Cross coffee dispenser, which we found in Station 2. It was just sitting there, and we think they used this at fire situations where they're pouring coffee for the firemen putting fires out, or possibly at parties that Wrentham had. That was very nice. We found this. We were just looking at this. This is a Wrentham Dairy, we think maybe cream can, with the name soldered right on it. H.L. Proto, that was the Wrentham Dairy on Thurston Street. See this milk can right here? That's a milk box for the Wrentham Dairy. Okay, I took that off a porch about 20 years ago that was still sitting in the position where the Wrentham Dairy truck would put, the truck driver would put the milk in. They never moved the milk crate when they stopped delivering milk in the 1950s. Never moved it. I picked it up, brought it up here.
Glass bottle days, of course.
Glass bottle days. Generous donation from the owner. This is a searchlight that the fire department used to use if they're trying to put a fire out at night, or if they were trying to light an event. We took that out of Station 2 also. Here is an interesting story right here. I asked people, where would this sign possibly have been? Okay, and people have a tough time figuring it out. The streets are not the same as they used to be, but this sign was actually in Plainville, at an intersection where you would know which way was Mansfield and which way was Wrentham. Actually, Taunton Street in Plainville is where this sign was. We took it out of the barn before it got demolished. This rock right here, the Historical Commission has had that rock since before I joined in the early 1980s, but that is a rock that came from the Wrentham gold mine off of Arnold Street. And the Wrentham gold mine had some gold in there, and it also had a lot of fool's gold in there, which looked like gold but wasn't. And we think that's fool's gold, but we've never had it chipped. Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Crosby Ashton, they just knocked these buildings down just recently, maybe within the past 5 years. Crosby Ashton wasn't quite like that. That was an artist's conception of what they wanted to do, but a lot of those buildings were knocked down.
And there's another cowl painting right up here on the wall.
Warner Brothers display. This was the business that owned Crosby Ashton before and during World War II. They built some of the highest quality taps and dies you could find. A lot of military manufacturers bought those. They're all over Wrentham. Every old timer had a bunch of those taps and dies in his garage because a lot of them didn't pass muster, or some of them disappeared in pockets, I guess. We don't know. Anyway, we have a lot of Winter Brothers stuff, and there are still Winter descendants living in Wrentham today.
The original chairman, or not the original chairman, but this is Earl Stewart as a youth. It's one of those company gatherings where they bring everybody in and they have breakfast or lunch or dinner or some sort of a presentation, but it's very interesting. Everybody's trying to say, oh, this is my uncle, or this may be my cousin, and it's always a conversation piece. This is a donation that came to us about 3 years ago from a former resident in Wrentham. Her name's Elizabeth Ware. She is an architect and a design engineer for the state of California. She contacted us and she says, I have something you might be interested in. It's my hobby. It's not a dollhouse. It's an authentic reproduction of the building that I admired as a youth. So she sent us some pictures. We recognized it right off the bat. And she said, it is yours. All you have to do is figure out how to get it from California to Wrentham. And that in itself was a chore. But it's very nice. We decorated at Christmas. We have portable interior lighting. It's furnished. It's heated with our own heat here. And it's a nice little addition to our display. This is the odds and ends room. The other thing that of interest that the town might be interested in is the Wrentham Whig Association, which is basically the GOP. And this is a presidential campaign banner, 1839, okay? It was donated to us by John Eleanor Sheehan, okay? It was found in their barn, and we had it professionally conserved. And this is the one and only. It's silk and linen, but they called it the Log Cabin Party, and it was William Henry Harrison Tyler, all right? He was the shortest-lived president. He gave his inaugural address in January of that year, and he died about 3 weeks later from pneumonia that he got doing the address because it was pouring out. So there's a bit of history with that. So that's kind of interesting. This is a picture of the barn, okay, that the banner was found in under here. It's an artist's drawing of it. Weber Duck Inn. This is the original sign that hung on 1A for the restaurant. It's double-sided. It was donated to us by Dean Algier, who's a Wrentham resident. He's got a business up the street, antique bicycles and things. So through his generous donation, we coveted this sign for a long time. We're really sure where it happened to be. When I moved in '73, it was hanging in the country store, which John Andrews, up the center of town, had in his shop on the wall. And it came through Dean Algier, and he says, hey, would you guys like this? You bet. So we're looking for a place to hang it, but we'll find a place eventually. Some wooden signs. Daniel Cook. That was a donation. Wrentham resident. This is interesting. 195, which is the lodge number for the Oddfellows. and it was over the Davis store, where the restaurant is now uptown, upstairs on the second floor. And our original library had a room up there also. So they had one room, and the Oddfellows had that. This came to, well, I'm going to say about 8 or 9 years ago. It was Wrentham Day. The resident came in, said, we're cleaning out Grandpa's barn. I found this, and it was in pieces with stuff missing, so it was kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. So I said, it looks like a good winter project. So I took it home, figured it out, did the layout, cleaned it up, resecured it, glued it, and made a few additional pieces for it. And where else to hang it but over the men's room. So this case was in the original town hall, the center school, up in the parking lot. The building is gone, but it was the old schoolhouse town hall. And this was the official weights and measures. These are the scales where they would weigh things. And they have it today, even for gas pumps and everything, to say that the vendor, whoever it is selling a true weighted project. And the measures are the same way. They're all graduated in size. It has an interesting set of doors. It gives you some directions and the date of manufacturer and all that. And this is not, these are all grain painted. This is like a piece of pine that paint decorated to look like mahogany. All right. So it had a set of twin doors. We had this in storage for about 25 years or 30 years in the Wrentham house because it was taken out of the school real early and stuck up there for safekeeping. So we decided to remove that out when we got the use of the building and put this out as one of our displays. These are all Wrentham arrowheads. Display out in the front that I pointed out when you first came in was a guy by the name of Stephen Keithley. He was a resident, very interesting guy, very talented guy. I believe he was a tool and die maker, and he worked in the Wrentham foundries and stuff at town here. But he was an amateur archaeologist, and thanks to him, he put that whole collection together. And he was very friendly with the state archaeologist. The guy's name was Dr. Robinson. And in Attleboro, there used to be a museum with a lot of Indian artifacts, which is now moved. But early days on, when I was young, we went up there and I met Dr. Robinson, the guy that was the curator, director of the whole thing. So you people that haven't been in here yet, you are more than welcome to come in here. We'd love to see you. Like I said, we're going to be opening, we hope, the first Sunday of every month from 1 to 4. And we will come out with a schedule, I guess, on our Facebook page when it's official. We hope to see a lot of you.